It's noontime on Wednesday. Time for the Audible to get going. We're coming to you live from Philadelphia with the Miami Dolphins temporary locker room set up here in the team hotel as they're off to practice their pregame walkthrough at the Eagles facility before they get ready for the game tomorrow. Kim Bokamper here. I'm joined by Jason Jenkins, Senior Vice President of Communications, Community Involvement. I just call you the president of getting shit done, man. That's what I think you do all the time. Every time I see you, you got an email you're working on, or you're getting something done, and Jason, that's what you seem to do. Just get stuff done.
Now I'll try to lead by your example. It's super exciting to be here, and I see you bringing it early, bringing the heat this morning.
Yeah, man, I got to get going. Got to get going. You like to jump out in front of it early on sometimes. Hey, Jason, team traveled up here for 2 days of joint practices with the Philadelphia Eagles. Went very well, and as opposed to a lot of times you've seen joint practice. Not a lot of fights, no big skirmishes out there, and I think that's the way the coaches wanted it. But it's a big deal to move. And we're talking about this locker room here they've been using for the last 3 days. Man, it is a big deal to take a football team and move it somewhere for 4 days, right. Stay here, practice, and get ready for a game. And I don't think people really know everything that goes into it, but it is a major, major undertaking. When do they start working on just putting the logistics together?
Well, I think pretty much in the offseason when they decided we're going to get this done. I know, Mike Tannenbaum, Brandon Shore, Scott Bullis, and this team did an amazing job. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's sort of like a home away from home. I mean, we take it for granted a little bit, all the amenities that we have, and the whole idea is to make sure these players don't feel anything. They feel like they're back at home at a training facility. So you look at what they've done. You see the locker room here. You see the travel. You see, to see the food. I mean, everything has been, first class, and it's been exciting. And as you see, the tone has been set from the beginning of how they practice, like no fights, a lot of enthusiasm, but a lot of competition as well.
A lot of good intensity. And I talked to a lot of guys after these practices over the last couple of days, and they say, you practice hard when you're at home, but when you go to face somebody else and you go on the road and you're in a different environment, the intensity is just going to ratchet up. It's just a natural thing, and each and every one of those guys said that. And so I think the work – look, to me, I've said this before. If the league ever does go to lesser preseason games, two preseason games, I think if you did joint practices before each of those preseason games, probably give you enough work to be ready to go. I think that's how important these types of practices have been for not only the Dolphins but every team that gets involved in them.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know we had a lot of enthusiasm and excitement at our training camps at home, but, just getting the juice of seeing another team, seeing another color, seeing different names on the back, seeing, the fans, it's almost like a road game for us. But pretty much like every game, the Dolphins fans are kind of here. So it was great seeing some of the fans as well, too. But it was just like, it's been an amazing atmosphere, an amazing excitement, and we're looking forward to Thursday as well.
The other thing I always see when you do these types of things is I always watch this equipment staff. And you know what? The one thing I know in the NFL, and I talk about all teams, if you work in the NFL, you work hard. Absolutely. It's not a job that comes with, you got to earn your keep. And I don't think anybody on any team earns their keep more than the equipment staff, the guys that move all the equipment, make sure it's clean, do all that kind of things. And the Dolphins have always had a great equipment staff. This one is second to none. This is Joe Cimino's group and the guys that are doing it here. And it's amazing to watch these guys get the job done and do what you said, make it as seamless for these players as possible to go through what they have to do on a given day out here.
Now, it's cliche, but like we have the best guys in the business. Yep. I mean, Joe Cimino, like you said, his group. It's like they're in here now, so people just think, the teams that practice, and okay, well, they can take a rest. I mean, they're getting prepped for here, and it's always it's a tight schedule. Almost every minute is accounted for when you're out here, and just making sure this equipment group, they do an amazing job. Yep. It's something that I think a lot of people don't understand all the work that goes into it.
Yeah, we're talking about your job in communications, and you kind of the guy that spearheaded this thing, the Audible, getting it going. And over the last couple of years with this organization, there's been a lot more stuff through social media, all the changes to media these days were going on, and you guys have embraced it and really taken it to a whole different level. Not only with the Audible, with Dolphins Daily, all the different things that you do in house with your staff that creates all these shows.
You're absolutely right. Our president and CEO Tom Garfinkel kind of challenged us. Jeremy Walsh, the chief marketing officer. And you look at Scott Stone, Vince Pinozzo, Jeff Griffin and his team as well. It's really going to how people consume information. And now I know we're about 167 shows already, through the Audible. We're in syndication right now. You'll be getting your checks pretty soon. And,
I was wondering about that. When are those checks going to start coming?
The mail. But it's been a great response. People are really excited about it. Dolphins Daily. You talk about the Audible. The franchises with the grind. There's going to be a grind just about the travel that will be coming up pretty soon. So it's anytime you can go behind the scenes. fans, and you know, where else better can it be besides here in the locker room? I don't see any sprinklers right now, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah,
you know,
we'll be safe here
water.
for now, I think. You never know. Anything could happen. Hey, it's the other thing you find out with these shows and when you travel, and certainly these shows, it seems like every day, no matter where I go, somebody, hey, I saw the Audible, love the Audible. Certainly every stadium we've been into since we started doing this show, I hear from people. But the fans, the Dolphin fans around the world, you know, it's a nice opportunity to reach out to them and let them get an insight into what's going on and gather the information that they can't get anywhere else directly from the team. Excuse me, and I know those people certainly appreciate all the effort that's gone into it.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Dolphins are a global team.
Yep.
You look at the international fan base we have when we travel out to London. You look at locally when we travel on the road. There's always seeds of aqua and orange out there as well too. And so this gives us an opportunity to kind of expand beyond our horizons and kind of reach people directly how they consume information, whether it's on their phone, their laptops, their surfaces, et cetera. And so it's I definitely can see it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I mean, people recognize you and see you, and having this direct connection with the fans, being able to take the fans' questions, talk to us through. I don't know how Leon's going to be today with the questions. Is he going to be okay?
He's not very good. He's not very good. He's over there. I think he's just trying to figure out how to type right now. But we'll get it. We'll get some questions in here. If you want to send questions in, send them in through Facebook. Send your comments in through Facebook. We'll answer the questions. If you're watching us on Periscope, you can go ahead and just go to your message bar and send some questions in. We'll get you going. The other thing that was new this year, over the course of this year, was the involvement of high school football and youth football at practices, which I thought really, as a guy that played Pop Warner football when I was 9 years old, in high school football. And I could imagine being at that level, at whatever level that was, and getting the chance to go into an NFL facility, look at the facility, watch practice, and then after practice, have the players come over and talk to you in specific gender. If you're a defensive back talking to Xavier Howard or Rashad Jones or one of those guys, and they're telling you what's going on, that really has been something that I think has been very, very special. I know Coach Gaze has certainly wrapped his arms around and been a big supporter of it, and it continues to go on throughout the regular season now.
No, it's just been surpassed any kind of expectation that we would have for the program. And you look, like you said, we brought over 38 teams, high schools, girls flag teams, youth teams, to Doctors Hospital Training Facility at Nova Southeastern, and they got a chance. Over 1,200 student athletes and coaches got a chance to interact with players and coaches, and what Coach Gase has been done and opened up his doors has been been amazing. And it's one of those things that when it's happening, you're like, why do we do this all the time?
Yeah.
But getting the chance to jazz up the practice. You see, like Kenny Stills going over there talking to the wide receivers, Coach Jefferson doing wide receiver drills with some of the players, from Norland, Michael Thomas involved. Sue with a kid from Liberty City talking about, how to be defensive tackle and playing quarterback as well. So it's just been. It's like I said, it exceeded all our expectations. We're excited to run that program, and it's also helping us build fan base and build connections. And we really want to be stewards of the game in football in South Florida. And how can we do that? By doing programs like this. And
what kind of response have you gotten from those coaches and guys that come and get involved in it? Because you really go out. I mean, the team gets to tour the locker rooms, they get to tour the facility, do the whole thing, and then there was a number of times I saw teams would stay and practice. They'd practice on the field afterwards. So what do you hear back from the feedback you're getting back from those people that have been able to come out and participate? Yeah, that's been the most fulfilling part, and it's more so when you talk to people how to go. Now, this was life changing. I mean, this is a great thing. I never got a chance to see them. I'm seeing people on TV and some of the hours that I have, but also just kind of walking and just like noticing. You see the smiles on those kids' faces. You see the smiles. But also the coaches are getting something from the coaches watching practice, the high school and youth coaches, and it's also paying it forward. The kids are getting something from it, and the players have also spend time with them after practices as well too. So it's just been a total win-win for everybody. It's helping build a game in youth football here in South Florida, and we're just excited to continue to do this. The other thing is, and we had one of the kids was able to come on the Audible with us from Edison High School, down in Miami. Nat Moore's alma mater came on with us, and I think Nat kind of got that thing done. But anyway, we talked to him, and one thing he said when we were talking to him is, I get the chance to see how hard these guys work to get where they've gotten to, and I'll remember that. And so these guys they realize, sometimes they see they just roll out on Sundays and play, but they get the opportunity really to see from start to finish just how hard these guys work to maintain where they're at, and the guys that are trying to make the team trying to get out here and do everything they can to make the squad.
You're absolutely right. So you look at the physical aspect, the hard work they put in going in the weight room. They get a chance to tour the weight room, tour the locker room, see the facility. Twan Russell gave them a great talk on character building and teamwork and competitiveness, but also to get a chance to talk to the players and just say, you know what, after this practice, I'm going in to watch the film. I'm going in to learn. I'm going to like, good Lord, you got to do all these things. So it's great for those young people to see, even if they don't make it to the pros, which I think all of their goals were coming in, and we're igniting and sparking those flames, but also just the work ethic, the education, the mentality you have to take to succeed on this level. Because it doesn't happen without the full package, education and also being physical as well.
Look, it doesn't matter where they go or what career they get into, whether they're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, whether they're going to be a guy that works in a gas station or works in a car dealership or whatever. It instills that need to know wherever you want to get to, it's not going to be easy. So you got to put your nose to the grindstone and get it done. And I think it's a lesson that those guys will carry with them for a long time.
No, again, he's absolutely right. I mean, and then you just see it. You see the size of the Dominican Sue all the way to Jakeem Grant.
Right, exactly.
So some of those guys see it's all about the work, your heart that you put in. It's not only about the size, but it's also about the heart, what you put into it, and how you approach the game as well. And then they'll see too. After practice, they'll see Jakeem catch 100 punts after practice. They'll see Ryan Tannehill or Jay Cutler or Matt Moore staying with the receivers working out. They'll see all these things too, so they'll know that just that little extra effort. The extra effort is just a requirement just to even be on this level, and they see that as well.
Well, the next step is, and we'll begin Friday on the Audible, is we're going to go out every Friday during the high school football season and be live at one of the football games. We'll be at Travis Powell on Friday for Deerfield Beach playing against Carroll City. It's a Dade Broward matchup. There's another game on Saturday, I believe. There's two games back to back.
It'll be Cardinal Gibbons and Southridge the next day as far as that best of day, best of Broward series.
Yeah, so we'll be out there, and it'll give us a chance to talk to some of the coaches. Hopefully get some of the coaches on the show before the game starts. Joe Rose will be part of it, and Joe loves college or high school football and certainly knows in depth a lot about high school football. So he'll be along for the ride. But I think it's going to be another good opportunity to get that connection between the local high schools, the community, and the Miami Dolphins, and just knowing that this organization really cares about them and wants to promote them and wants them to be the best they can be. And I'm looking forward to it. And Friday's going to be really a fun day to get that kicked off.
No, it's going to be awesome. And sort of these things kind of sparked from different aspects. We went to Coach Gase, talked to him about what we're doing in high school and youth football. He said, you know what? Full, open up the doors, do whatever you want, bring them on the field. And we created this program that's been amazing. And through that, we had a lot of guys that talk to these high school players and say, like, hey, where do you go to school? I want to come to a game. And so that sparked the idea. You know what? The Audible has been amazing, going in different locations, throughout the week, being on the practice fields during training camp. Why don't we go out to these high school games and kind of build it there? So these things are kind of just snowballing effect, and it's more so based on these organic interactions that's kind of leading us to this direction that I think will be a benefit to everyone.
Yeah, that's fun. One of the funny things, I figured when one of the first teams came out, I forget what team it was, but I heard that one of the players going, hey, I want to go watch one of your games. I want to come out and see one of your games. So like you said, I think through the course of the season, some of the Dolphin players will come out and look, they all played high school football. They all know what it's all about. And I think, like, look, I've been watching Little League World Series over the last couple weeks, and it just kind of brings you back to to when you were a kid and when you were there, and so there's that connection, and so those guys, I think they're anxious to get out and watch some of these games, and guys that aren't from South Florida or maybe have been here for a year or two that really haven't had a chance to get to know high school football in South Florida. I think they're in for a pretty good treat if they go and watch some of these games, because look, everyone that knows anything about high school football, college football, knows the vast amount of talent there is in South Florida at the high school football level, and they're going to see some very good football out there.
And I know you grew up in California, and I grew up in Texas, so we fancy ourselves as having some real good high school football. But like you said,
you guys were 2 to us, and then Florida was 3, I think, back when I was there. So but California, Texas, then Florida.
See, California had to start with California. See, no, but you look at it now in South Florida. You look at through the NFL, you look at the talent, the athletes here. It's just on another level, and I think it's important for our players to see it as well. And it's great that they want to go out. That's powerful to say, hey, I want to go out and see you play, and being there and being in this community that serves us so well. And so now I'm fired up about Friday, and I'm fired up about every Friday going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. As I said, we're going to start Friday. Will be at Trask Powell. It's Deerfield Beach in Carroll City, the first of our shows for the high school season. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it. Now, also looking forward to tomorrow night, Thursday night, Dolphins against the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is the game that the veterans are going to play a lot in. They're going to time up, and maybe get a chance to see Mike Pouncey out there. Looks like he's kind of trending possibly to play a little bit. We'll see how that comes out. But a little more time for Jay Cutler to work in with these guys. And that offensive line is starting to come in shape with Juwan James coming back. And it looks like Jesse Davis, who he's been the hot topic over the last couple of days. Big tackle converted to guard, but big body in there in the guard position. So I think this is an important game for the Miami Dolphins. Playing against a very good football team, a talented football team. Carson Wentz, their quarterback, has looked really good out there. So it's going to be a good challenge for our secondary and for our defensive front. But then on offense, just a chance for Jay Cutler to continue to feel comfortable in the pocket, time up with these guys. And this is a key. Because those guys, this is going to be probably the last they play until they open up against the Tampa Bay Bucks at Hard Rock Stadium.
And like you said, a lot of shared connections on both sides. I mean, this was like the rare trade that was a win-win for everybody. Us bringing in, 3 stars in Kiko, Byron Maxwell, and Laramie Tunsil, them getting Carson Wentz, who you said looked great. So I think these guys have kind of practiced these last 2 days. There's been some, things going on, and they're going to be excited, to really play what's as close to a real game as possible in this third preseason game. So I'm looking forward to see our starters in. I'm looking forward to see, how we do both on offense, defense, and special teams, and just sort of not game planning, but sort of just implementing some things that you'll see during the year as well.
Jason, over the last couple years, certainly from last year on, the feel, the climate, everything around this organization has made a seismic shift.
Correct.
It's changed. The attitude's changed. The culture's changed. All those types of things have changed, and this continues on. And we'll get to see some of that this week. But, one of the things that I see, Ryan goes down. Okay, you lose your starting quarterback. They're quick to move, quick to go ahead. They go out and get Jay Cutler. Coach Gaze kind of talks him out of retirement, brings him back here, but they move quickly and they move decisively. You lose Raekwon McMillan, the linebacker, the second-round draft choice. Looked like he was going to be the starter at the middle linebacker spot. You lose him, and certainly Mike Hull steps in, does a good job for him, but quickly they go out. They get Ray Malaluga, bring him in. Quick, decisive, make a move. Don't waffle on it and make the decision. Ray's got to get himself in a little playing shape and all that, but that'll come along, and he'll be a guy that's going to be an asset to this football team. But that's the other aspect of this team that I'm seeing now is there. It seemed like for a while you're kind of but now it's going, okay, this happens here. We're going to go here. We're going to do it, and we're going to move forward, and we're not going to look back. And then I think that's a great attitude to have for a football team.
No, it points to the leadership of of Adam Gase, of Mike Tannenbaum, and Chris Greer in terms of working together. You also have Tom Garfinkel. I mean, there's no like sides within the organization. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's looking towards that goal. You see what we've done from a business aspect of with the stadium and what we've been bringing fans in there. You look at what you talked about here, and you're absolutely right. You looked at it's a relationship business. So, Ryan goes down. There's no pity party being thrown. Coach Gase, talks to Matt Moore. Matt Moore is in, who's very capable as well. But yet that relationship with Jay Cutler, was key. To come in, you look at Ray Malaluga, who I found out he calls himself Moana on the field. So my kids love him now because my kids watch Moana every second. But you look at his relationship with Matt Burke, relationship building. He comes in, works out, and he signs. And like you said, I mean, this crew and this organization is moving forward, and everything is done not with a stand pat mentality, but how can we get the team better every day? And like I said, that starts with what Adam Gase has created with the culture, on the field, but also working with Mike Tannenbaum, Chris Greer, and Tom off the field as well.
You're in the communication business, and part of the other things that you do for this organization. But when you're out and about, when you talk to people out there, certainly the enthusiasm for this football team in the building is strong. But as I go around, I think the enthusiasm outside the building, the fans, the people that are, maybe they're not fans, but they're observers, and they want to be fans, but they've kind of been maybe been burned too many times. But I think when you go around and you see the optimism out there is very, it's tangible. I think when you go out, and I think that the part of it is the belief is in the way that the franchise has really made that shift.
Now we have passionate fans. They've gone through a lot, and I think they see, like you said, no unforced errors, no stepping over yourselves, just a constant belief, and this team plays in the way our head coach is. He's aggressive. He's excitable, and it's a good thing too as well too. I mean, like you look at look at some of our social media and him being Mike with Dan Marino and give him a hard time about Little Nicky and Ace Ventura. He should have said Bad Boys too. I know he said Bad Boys too. That would have been a coup de grace. But
well, not for nothing, but Danny or Jim Carrey didn't make that movie. I made that movie.
No question about it. And like just even now, I mean, it's amazing. Sitting here with the guy that punched Jim Carrey in the face. But like you said, our coach he's the real deal. I mean, and he has worked with this group to really, and our players just feed off of it. I'm just ready to go.
Yeah. We had 2 home games, the first 2 games at Hard Rock Stadium. Stadium looked beautiful. Come out here for a couple weeks. I know they've got some little finishing touches to go on the stadium, but when we open up against the Tampa Bay Bucks on what's the day? September
10th.
September 10th at Hard Rock Stadium. It's going to be out in all its glory. And man, I'll tell you what, it is amazing the transformation over the last 3 years where that stadium is. And I'm excited to see every time I go something new's there. So
correct.
I'm excited to see what it's going to be like on September 10th.
Now, as you know, I mean, Stephen Ross, he's a builder,
yep.
and the amount of money he's put into that, the canopy, the roof, now the new seats. You look at coming in now, the landscaping is completely different,
unbelievable,
and pedestrian bridges and tunnels, on the horizon as well. So everything is trying to create that great fan experience. I mean, winning is going to be the best fan experience, but really creating a place that befits South Florida as a cultural destination.
Yeah. I remember when last year when the canopy was up and everything was done, and I remember Mr. Ross, it was the first game he came and talked a little bit, and I was kind of standing next to him, and someone was talking, and said, man, you did a nice job at it. And he says, you know what? This is what I do.
Correct.
I build things. And that's what he did. He's building this organization to a championship organization, and boy, when he builds a building, it's a nice building.
No question. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I was in Tom Garfinkel's office the other day before we did one of our stadium showcases, and we looked at the picture of what they said it was going to look like and how it actually looked. I mean, it's like completely the same. I mean, the same. He spared no expense in it, and it's amazing that what he said he was going to do, he did, and we're reaping the benefits in South Florida in terms of the Super Bowl. Hope to get BCS championships. You're talking about the El Clasico just coming in. It's been great for the city, great for our fans, and also great for the players as well.
Talking about the players, Jason, I don't know that I've been around a group of players. They were just good guys.
Mm-hmm.
You always, I mean, you got 90 guys in here now. At the end, it's going to be 53. With injuries by the end of the season, you're going to be back to 75, 80 guys,
correct.
From injury, whatever, practice squad, all those things. And there's usually some, I don't want to say bad apples, but there's some bumps in the road along the way. This football team doesn't seem to have that guy. And I'll go back to last year and the whole kneeling and the whole thing. And we had guys that kneeled for the national anthem. But unlike a lot of guys that are doing that, they did something about it. Michael and Kenny Stills, they went out in the community. They went to the law enforcement, first responders, and found out how they can help, how they can bridge the gap and everything. And it says a lot about the character of the guys that Tannenbaum and Chris Greer have gone out and brought to this organization. And I know Adam talked about it, high caliber guys that want to compete and have big hearts. And I think we're really seeing the effects of that out here.
No, it's these guys have a lunch pail mentality, and really Coach Gase has like a no excuses mentality. When we had players that went down, you saw all the injuries we dealt with last year. Even this year, it's always next person up, prepare them like they're going to play. And like what you mentioned, Kenny Stills, Michael Thomas, Jelani Jenkins, and Arian Foster. At the time when that happened, I know Stephen Ross was very supportive of their right to do that. And I think that not only did he have that, he created an organization, RISE, the Ross Initiative Sports and Equality, that kind of helped us through. We had meetings with them, had a town hall meeting, brought law enforcement community in. It really talked about their reasons for doing it. And while there's, there was different, sides of that debate, I think everyone felt that for where they're coming from was a genuine place of not wanting to be disrespect. So through that, Kenny and all those 4 guys, they participated in the ride along. We're looking to try to expand that to other teams, throughout the year as well too. They paid for a tailgate. We brought all different groups in together as well to fellowship and try to bridge those gaps through the community. And also we had different awards that talked about character building as well. So they had some real thought behind their action. It wasn't like I'm going to do it for the publicity. I'm going to do it just for doing that. And I think Rise was instrumental in helping us establish and create avenues for them to really make the difference in the community.
It's just another way where Mr. Ross is putting his cash on the table and turning what could be deemed a negative into a major positive. And he's not just doing it just in South Florida. This is a worldwide, nationwide initiative that he's put together.
No, Rise has been, they're with every sports league. They're in colleges. They're in high schools. They do educational programs. Some of the teams that in high schools are going to be involved with, we're going to take part in our high school program as well. And he got just recently honored for ESPN Stuart Scott Humanitarian Award. And he didn't get it to win that award, but it's great to see that recognition because that creates better awareness to be able to create change. And I know that group wants to use sports as a unifying force to bring change among different races and bring people together. So you talk about Mr. Ross from creating Rise. He had the business combine where he brought players up to New York to kind of see his business and use those connections to really further themselves in life. He cares about the players, and they see that. And they see Coach Gates cares about him. They see the other groups care about him. So we're trending in the right direction for that. And I'm glad that the tide is kind of turning on his view and really show how he really cares for these players, both on and off the field.
All right, let's get you back into your glory days when you played high school football, you played college football in Texas. Put on your football cap and give me your scouting report of this football team, where we're at right now with 2 more preseason games to go, and then that 16-game ride. It's a roller coaster, and you kind of strap in and get ready for it. And what do you see in the future for this team this year?
Well, it's great because I went to Texas Tech, and I have the same kind of view from now for them because I was on the sidelines. I didn't play, so it was still the same thing. So I mean, I see a young, hungry team with some veterans sprinkled in. I'm excited to see what we're going to do with the run game. I mean, I think you look at our receivers, and we'll kind of match them up against anyone in terms of where they are. Julius Thomas, looks great as well too. And defensively, I mean, Xavier Howard has been a guy that's had a great camp. Look great. Rashad's been Rashad, and definitely it hurt with Raekwon McMillan going down. But you see Kiko, you see Lawrence Simmons, you see Mike Hall. Hopefully, then when you get back from injury. This team, we're not making predictions. We're not talking about Super Bowl. We're not doing those things. But, Adam Gase's idea is zero in, and I think you're going to see that each and every week, that you're going to see a team that's not worried about the game before them, not worried about the game that's going forward in the future, but really looking towards that game zeroing in. It's going to provide a great product this year.
The other thing, too, is they've really got a nice mix of youth and veteran leadership out there, and not a lot. I mean, it's just a young football team, and a lot of that has to do with Tannenbaum and Chris Greer and the guys they brought in the draft last year. Right. You're seeing these second-year guys really stepping up to another level, and then the guys now. I mean, you look at Devin Gottschall and Vincent Taylor and Charles Harris and all those guys out there making an impact, and guys that you can see now that they're going to be big-time players on this football team, and so more youth injected into this lineup, and I think, to me, from a standpoint of where this franchise is going on the football field, man, it's pretty strong, and that mix, I think, is a very, very good quotient for them as to where they're at.
Now, like you talked about, I mean, this team has always wanted to build through the draft and kind of supplement through free agency, and that's the goal. And so when you're able to build through the draft, you can make a move like have enough cap space in to bring in Jay Cutler, have enough to bring in the Malaluga when these inevitable injuries happen. So it's really being opportunistic, but also kind of building through these drafts. And some of these, look at some of these rookies over the last 2 years in these class. They're going to be key contributors already, and even going forward, be leaders of the team.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Kenyon Drake out there. I mean, Kenyon looked good when he played last year, but my gosh, I saw him during the offseason, and my man bulked up, and you see him, and you're seeing the effect. He missed a week with the concussion protocol, but you saw him out here running. He made some nice runs out here, and so he's another guy you throw in there with Jay Ajayi and Damian Williams in that backfield. Pretty dangerous. And then you flip on the defensive side, for the troubles that this team had against the run last year, so far this training camp, whether it's in the preseason games or in the practices and work against the Eagles, I mean, that defense is shored up under Matt Burke. And as you say, he's going to come in and he's not going to change the defense, just tighten it up. And I think you can see that thing has tightened up since he's been in charge and since this training camp has begun.
Yeah, another forward-thinking way in terms of, Adam Gates bringing in, knew Vance Joseph was here, and people were going to really target him because he has an amazing presence, and there's no surprise that he got a job very quickly, with Denver. But having a coach like Coach Burke and in the wings, seeing the system, kind of knowing the personnel, it's created like a seamless transition for everyone. Year 2 in the offensive system as well. And so it's we're looking to take off.
Yep. Hey, we're going to have to get out of here, Jason. Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, my man. The guy to get shit done right there. And on the flip side, now Leon knows this is a half-hour show or thereabouts, right? You see what he does to my computer here? He gives me a computer that runs out of batteries halfway through the show. So I don't know if you may have sent questions, you may not have sent questions, but
6%.
Thanks to Leon and the battery running it, I didn't get to answer them. So I apologize. Me and Leon will have a little talk when this one's over.
Thanks, Leon. Appreciate it, pal.
Thanks, Leon. Always a pleasure. That's going to do it for the Audible. We'll see you Friday. Trask Powell, remember, it's going to be Deerfield and Carroll City. Kick off the football season with the Audible the right way with some high school football. We'll see you then. Maybe not Leon, but we'll see you guys then.